This is the fallen angel Christopher Daniels, former TNA X-Division Champion and former TNA World Tag Team Champion, and you are listening to the TNA Cross the Line podcast. Enjoy.
TNA Wrestling, Cross the Line.
And we're back with episode 229 of the TNA Across the Line podcast. I am Bob Colling Jr. With me, as always, is Dallas Gridley. And Dallas, we are now facing the fallout from Lockdown, which was our last episode and our latest pay-per-view here in the 2006 TNA universe. I'm not going to do the complete rundown for the show because Dallas likes to do that with star ratings. But I'll highlight kind of the two major things coming out of the show. The first one being that Christian Cage was prepared to die to retain the NWA World Heavyweight title. And that is incorrect because he was saying, Abyss, are you prepared to die? So basically he killed Abyss and he retained the NWA World Heavyweight Championship inside a steel cage. But it wasn't over because Abyss attacked him, whatever. But we'll get into that. And then the Lethal Lockdown, the first one ever where there was a roof. And it was the match that Dallas didn't realize was, in fact, his favorite Lethal Lockdown until it happened. The team of Sting, AJ Styles, Rhino, and Ron Killings defeated Jeff Jarrett, Scott Steiner, and America's Most Wanted. Aside from that, there's really nothing else earth-shattering to talk about, really. But Dallas,
there's one big thing that I think is actually
pretty. Go ahead.
It's the return of Loki, and his name is now Senshi, which we'll get into that as also. I mean, it's kind of what we talked about on the show, but I think that was a pretty big deal. I mean, we haven't seen him in, oh, geez. I mean,
2004.
I'm trying to
04, I think. I think he was in the second Ultimate Act or whatever.
Yeah, dude, his
number.
Yeah, his last match until Lockdown 2006 was March 31st, 2004, and it was during the tag team tournament. So it wasn't even the Ultimate X. That was earlier in the year.
Right. Wait. Well, I was talking about the January. Because wasn't there an Ultimate X the first week?
Yes. January 7th. Now, so technically, that's his first run as not in a tag team. It looks like, or his last, I should say. Yeah. It's kind of interesting because I don't remember the context, but it's been so long. But him and Daniels defeat the Naturals, and then he just disappears. Did they do an injury angle or something, or did they just replace him with Skipper? I don't even remember. Because they win the. Oh no, I'm sorry. I'm reading this wrong. Because the way they air things, and it was taped differently. So that's his last filmed appearance. His last TV actual appearance was April 7th. So, dude, it's almost 2 years, essentially to the day that he appeared on a show.
Yeah.
So I misread that because they lost the finals to Dallas and Kid Cash. So that dates it right there for you.
Right. I think a lot of people know, especially internet wrestling fans, would know that Senshi kind of complains a lot if he's not winning. So my question to you, Dallas, is how long until Senshi is the X-Division champion?
I have a
feeling... You know that's in negotiations. Okay, I'll come in. What? I want to be the guy that beats I'm the guy that beats Samoa Joe.
Well, I feel like he probably had to pitch that, but they are so strong on Samoa Joe, and Samoa Joe, arguably one of the top talents right now. He's heavily featured. He's undefeated. I just don't see them being like, oh yeah, remember you had beef with Jeff Jarrett, and you decided to finally come back and you bitch a lot? Well, you get to beat him. So we'll see what happens.
Well, outside of the TNA universe, and not even just in Ring of Honor, but I'll just call him Loki because we're not in the show, so I'll just say low key. But low key against Samoa Joe is a match that on the independent scene people would always be like, oh, this is going to be, insane. And low key was always like, I think low key was seen as one of the true threats to Samoa Joe, like a viable contender, just because of the hard hitting nature of their matches. And I'm pretty sure that low key has beaten him a couple of times outside of his Ring of Honor reign as champion. So yeah, that will be.
So did they have like a lengthy feud in Ring of Honor, or they just had a lot of good matches together?
So Ring of Honor in like 02, 03, 04, I wouldn't say they were structured in the sense of like feuds and storylines. There was a few, like Punk and Raven is a storyline. Carino Homicide's a storyline. So there are, I would say, some decent storytelling matches, like feuds, whatever. Joe and Loki, I think, would be more like a rivalry in terms of how I would describe it.
Okay, I know. They would be like, I know what you mean.
It'd be like, oh, hey, these guys are having their fourth match. It's kind of like, to me, what Bryan Danielson and Nigel McGuinness had in Ring of Honor, in the same sense of it wasn't a substance of like reason as to why they're fighting. It's pretty self-explanatory. Like for the title, so now we're gonna wrestle for 35 minutes.
Gotcha. I was trying to look quick and see if I could find any specific matches with him and Samoa Joe. I found one in 2002, October 5th, Fight Without Honor, Glory by Honor, and Loki did defeat Samoa Joe. Yeah,
so that was one of them. They had another one of 2005 for Jersey All Pro, a singles match, and then it looks like later on they have a couple of other ones on the indies. But just looking at the ones that have been rated on Cage Match, they're all high to mid 8s.
That doesn't surprise me, honestly.
No, it doesn't surprise me either. So
it's kind of interesting because, like, looking at, I like to look at like the career page where you can see all the different promotions, of course.
Yeah, that's what I do.
And it's interesting because I feel like it happens with a lot of TNA talent, but you can see where as the regime is just changing, a lot of people leave.
Yeah.
And then they go to WWE for a little while, and then all of a sudden they're back. So he is. I'm glad to say that we do seemingly have, at least through most of the rest of our tenure here on the TNA Cross the Line podcast, Loki seems to be around. So I don't know how consistently. I didn't look in depth here, but I think it's. I'm excited to see it.
See, now I feel like I feel like he's not here because like what we've said for sure like end time of.
Oh, okay. So it's a peek in the future, right? So spoiler alert if you don't want to know.
Yeah, this is what I thought. So it's it's
like 2 matches in the beginning of 2008, and that's kind of it.
Yeah, so it's really like a year and a half that we're going to be getting out of him.
Hey, you know what? If it's consistent, I always enjoyed his matches in the Asylum, and really, I mean, we didn't really see a whole lot more after that. So
yeah, no, and the thing too with Senshi Loki, he's an entertaining wrestler and he's a good wrestler, but it's just his, I think, personality that's been reported like backstage that people have learned about. And I mean, the videos that I've seen him post on Twitter about whatever stuff is just like, this guy takes it way. I mean, a lot of people in wrestling take it probably a little too seriously, and I probably shouldn't say that because I'm not a wrestler, and I would probably be passionate too about my career if that was my career. But you're essentially kind of doing like a Broadway performance just in a pro wrestling ring. You're telling a story, so like if you lose, it's just part of the story. It's not like a real life like, oh hey, you suck. But I think he's the type of guy that really focuses on the perception of how he would be seen in that way.
Oh, and then he'll kick the shit out of you. So
Yeah,
it all balances out.
I remember there was a match. Well, there's two of them. There was one that he had with Dan Moff before his return here. So I think that was like 2003 or so. He kicked him, and he fucked up Moff. Like he got really badly concussed. And then there's another one in Evolve. I think you've probably seen the clip of it where he returned and he did like a running somersault kick or something and just nailed the guy right on the jaw.
I'm pretty sure I've seen that.
And he was out like a light.
So
those kicks are legitimately fucking brutal. And they sound
no
brutal
joke
every time.
Yeah. It's fascinating. Yeah. Pretty interesting. Well, let's get into Lockdown. We have a bunch to talk about. And before we kickstart it, Bob, we gave the show a thumbs up. We enjoyed the show. So what do you think the Wrestling Observer readers thought? Did they give it a thumbs up, a thumbs down, or a thumbs in the middle?
I'm going to say a thumbs up, but I don't think it would be overwhelmingly thumbs up.
Well,
I'm going to say like 70% would do thumbs up.
No, you're not fully correct here. They were thumbs up, but it was 92.8%.
Oh, okay.
Which equates to about 128 people. Only 4 people, or 2.9%, give it a thumbs down, and 6 people, or 4.3%, give it a thumbs in the middle. So it was pretty overwhelmingly high.
Now, what would be the reasoning to give it a thumbs down, I wonder, for those 4 people? Assuming they purchased it, right?
Right.
So let's not go the context of like streaming, illegally streaming it. So let's say they purchased the show for $30. After that show, because that's how I try to think about this. If I purchase it for $30, and at the end I'm like, wow, that show sucked. Why would I think it sucked? Are they a Sabu fan?
Right. So I think it can go a couple of things here. Like, it could be something like that. Like, oh, their guy lost, so they're mad. It could be that you're sick of seeing Team Canada and Team 3D, which I could understand.
Yeah, that was such not a main event type of match.
Right. Maybe they didn't like the arm wrestling thing.
Okay.
But like, really, I mean, I feel like we're like really, trying to dig for something here. Because looking at the card, even on paper, I mean, we just watched it also. I don't know, man. It's like a pretty strong card.
No, it is, right. And when you're saying like we're really trying hard to like nitpick, that's what I think you're doing if you're somebody who is saying I did not enjoy this show.
If you're one of the only people who disliked it.
Yeah. I mean, could it maybe be like, oh, hey, I think Abyss should have won the title?
Yeah,
maybe
right.
I guess you'd be upset. Or like, oh, Chris Harris shouldn't have been the guy that submitted to the Sting. I don't know.
Yeah. It's very interesting.
I thought for sure Ron. I think if the faces were gonna lose, it'd be Ron that would take the fucking submission. But
the way he's been like positioned, I feel like yeah. Well, on the same note here, what do you think got voted on as the best match from the show?
That's a really fight for the fans.
Yes.
Cage and Abyss.
That was second. It was close.
The Escape.
Nope. That was third.
The fans. Lethal Lockdown. I wouldn't say that was the best match. Is it?
It is Lethal Lockdown.
What?
And then the fourth place one was Daniels and Senshi. So, but those first two were only 6 votes apart, so they were pretty close. And then the Escape was only 4 lower than the Cage and Abyss match. So, it was pretty. Those 3 matches got pretty good voting.
I'm surprised about. I mean, it was not a bad Lethal Lockdown. I wonder maybe if the style spot would have clinched it.
That's a really good point. What about the worst match? I think I voted on for
that. Okay, is the arm wrestling one considered a match?
I consider it a match.
So then it's got to be that.
Well, that was in second.
You got to be fucking kidding me. It's got to be the Anthem match then.
It is. It's the Anthem match.
You're
I don't
telling
know.
me
If I was gonna vote a worst one, I'd probably pick the arm wrestling.
Dallas.
Listen, the Anthem match wasn't a spectacle, but like, come on.
No, this is what we got to do. We have to next time the Bully Ray posts something on Twitter. You have to be like from our account. You got voted worst match before a arm wrestling match between Conan and Bullet Bob Armstrong.
The bunch of fucking marks.
The next time that he tries to critique something and be like, "Oh, that was a 3-star match," you can be like, "You got voted the worst match, and your competition was an arm wrestling match."
It's pretty bad. pretty bad. Oh man. Okay, let's dive into Dave's breakdown of Lockdown. He's got a few notes before he really kicks off the star ratings I want to discuss too. So TNA presented another in its pattern of well-received show in the Lockdown pay-per-view from April 23rd in Orlando. Its annual all cage match show. The show featured almost all good matches. It had no matches of the year and was very ECW-ish with a lot of blood, gimmicks, thumbtacks that are being done with far too much frequency, and a few scary high spots on top or off the top of the big six-sided cage. Now I'm going to pause quick. The ECW comment, I think there's a reason he is saying that we will get to after the Lockdown notes.
Okay, I'm sure I know what you're thinking too, because as soon as you said that, I did not think of it as I didn't get an ECW vibe from it, because realistically the blood is like, there's like maybe two matches, like the last two had.
I don't recall.
Sabu.
Sabu did too. Yeah.
But that's Sabu. Like, come on. That's.
Yeah. There's a reason. We'll get to it because it is technically a little bit part of our notes here. So, but if you think of the timeline, it all makes sense. He goes on to say, from watching the show, there were two real problems that became evident. The first is while TNA builds up its top matches on TV with conventional angles, there is something missing. It's too WWE light to be an alternative. It's becoming too hardcore to appeal to the masses, but in trying to be everything for every type of fan, it ends up not being anything in particular. It's too softcore based on who is the top to be hardcore. What is TNA trying to be? The answer is everything. And when you do that, you don't really get an identity, and it's hard to be much of anything. The wrestling is good, but the context isn't there. The angles are too silly and campy to be serious or draw money in most cases. The wrestling is so serious in most cases that so many of the silly concepts are a contradiction. With TNA, our feedback has mirrored the buy rates pretty closely, and this month was way down, as in 29% down from last month. This huge drop is because the programs aren't getting over, not because the wrestling has been bad or pay-per-views have been a disappointment. The vast majority who buy the pay-per-views like them, but there was no feeling going into the show that anything would be great on paper. But apparently, that's a big deal of what drives the buys. They are not picking up ground, and now it seems they are losing ground. The jury on Sting is out. His first appearance, first match, first times on TV all drew, but everyone knew that would be the case early on. I don't know of anyone against Sting short term. Long term was a question, and it's a struggle, to say the least. And because of all the money invested in him, he has to be on top and be protected. And it's not like him going to the top is holding somebody back who could be doing a better job. We are now in month 4, and he was given a break in between. This was Sting's first match back since he's quitting, and it was important that the angle and grudge clicked, which didn't happen. Now, the second problem, he says, was one of the biggest positives of the company, which is audience in Orlando. At this show, they watched, they chanted big when something really spectacular happened, and did the "This is awesome" chant at the end of matches that weren't nearly as good as the ones they used to chant it at. But overall, familiarity hasn't bred contempt. But the crowd is too familiar and has seen too much. This was nothing as bad as UFC at the Hard Rock, but they need to take these pay-per-view shows on the road, or at least some of them. So he's quite critical here. The fans thing is interesting because they are definitely going to get used to what they're seeing. Maybe too much. But he really, the pay-per-view buys compared to his readers response thing, I always find kind of interesting. Because like, I sort of see what he means, but like I feel like he's probably thinking over that one a little too much. And he is so critical of Sting, and Sting has been here like out of the 4 months, he's probably been here maybe 2 of those. But it's interesting.
So he technically came back January, and he came back March. He's had one TV match,
Which was in April. I feel like he missed like February, wasn't it? Maybe it's like February and beginning of March or something.
Yeah, but he was still on TV because Shelley was like stalking him.
Okay. Yes, you're right.
So in that sense, I mean, he was still like
okay.
there.
No, you're right.
Yeah, no, I mean, I get what Meltzer's saying, because if like he's making an obscene amount of money, he's absolutely got to be like your top baby face.
Right.
That's probably pretty, obvious. See, but the only thing, Sting is, he's the definition of like the babyface chasing the champion, the heel champion. That's the money, similar to like a Steamboat or something. But Sting chasing for the belt is where the money is, and when as soon as he wins it, it's kind of like, okay, what do we do here? Like, what do we do now? So it'll be interesting to see how long they hold off on that, because if I had to guess, you could probably hold off on a while, because if Christian holds the belt for a substantial amount of time, you won't have to flip it to Sting. But I don't think they would try to build to like a Cage Sting face versus face match. I don't think that.
Right.
I don't think that would fit. So, I don't know. It'll be interesting. And like, if he were to win the title, how long would he have it for? I can't imagine it being long, because I don't think he really makes a lot of in-ring appearances during this time to begin with. So,
yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see how it continues to develop.
Yeah. Yep.
Well, as we head more into the show here, there of course was no pre-show matches. However, one interesting note is that Billy Kidman was backstage at the show, and he was looking for work. He told people that he was getting the itch to come back, but there is no deal signed with him at the moment. So, Billy Kidman backstage at Lockdown wants to come back, wants to wrestle.
Okay, now that is, I'm gonna look this up, because that's interesting that he said that he had the itch. Because I mean, you could insert your WCW joke here, where his gimmick was that he had scabies and he had the 7-year itch, which was his shooting star press. But Dallas wouldn't know that because he's not a true WCW fan. All right, so
that I didn't know.
There you go. Okay, so when you said he had the itch to come back,
yeah, how long has he not been working?
Okay, so we are in April of 2006 here. So please hold. Let's see here. Let's go down. All right. So he has not competed. Okay, so according to Cage Match, his last match was against Christian Cage at Northeast Wrestling WrestleFest X, which is 10, for the NWA World Heavyweight Championship, which I've noted.
I do remember hearing about that, yeah.
On this show. His last WWE appearance on television was June 25th, 2005 on Velocity, losing to Booker T. So I was so like as I was saying, I was surprised that he had the apparent itch to return, but he does wrestle on the indies for a brief period of time. Like he has, I'm assuming, a WWE tryout in July in dark match with Jamie Noble.
Wasn't he already there? He was already didn't he not? How's he getting a tryout if he's already been? Why does he need a tryout?
Well, because he was released.
Yeah, but you already know who he is. Why does he need a tryout?
No, see that's what they do. They do tryouts. So let's see if if you're still good.
If you're still
he does compete for FCW, WWE's developmental in 2007, but it looks like that's only at live events, not on their television or anything. But he would become like a producer guy for a long time.
He still is, isn't he?
Is he?
I'm pretty positive Billy Kidman is. I mean, unless I'm wrong, I might be wrong.
I thought he might have left. And by left, I mean fired.
I mean, there's always that good chance, right?
I could have sworn at one point he was like a budget cut or something.
He doesn't ever post on he hasn't posted on Twitter since end of last year, so that's no help.
That's probably when he got fired.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. Although he's barely tweeted in the last 3 years, so
yeah.
I don't know. I don't know what he's doing, and I feel like he hides and
maybe the divorce from Tori really hit him in the last 3 years.
That was it just crushed him.
It's like, wow. Damn, I was sleeping with that girl for a handful of years. And then as soon as I leave wrestling, she dumps me. It's as if she never loved me.
And then he crushes Paul London's face with the shooting star.
That's a good storyline. Because then he doesn't want to do the shooting star no more. Which is bizarre. That storyline, that's funny you fucking mentioned that.
As a kid, that was holy crap.
Well, here's the thing. I watched it. I watched I think it's No Mercy 04, that blow off is. But I remember watching this and I'm like, wait a minute. You're telling me Billy Kidman is afraid to do his finishing move and that's why he's a heel? Because he's like, I hurt Paul London, you guys made me do it, so I can't do it because I don't want to hurt anybody. And they're just like, boo! You don't want to hurt people? Boo! You feel bad? God. You suck. It's that's just funny. Fucking funny.
That's funny.
Shit.
Yeah, that's funny shit. I like that. Yeah, I'm a Billy Kidman fan. I actually think it would have been really interesting to see him here in TNA. But to my knowledge, he doesn't, but who knows, I guess. I don't know. Anyways, let's get into these matches. Of course, all matches at Lockdown were held in a 6-sided cage, or as Scott Steiner would say, an octagon. Dave wrote that, and I thought it was really funny. Hirooki Goto and Minuro and Black Tiger defeated Alex Shelley, Sonjay Dutt, and Jay Lethal in 12 minutes and 1 second. Shocker, Puma, and Magno were watching from the stage. Team Mexico, of course. The crowd wasn't into the Japanese talent nearly as much as they were when Jushin Liger came. Good match with a lot of cool moves by both sides. Near the finish, Minoru hit the flying armbar on Lethal. Everyone did their big moves, ending when Tiger pinned Lethal after a Tiger suplex. He gives this match 3.25 stars. Team 3D did a promo based on ripping WWE in the back. Ray said that he would rather go back to Stamford, Connecticut than listen to the Canadian national anthem. The other two said, are you serious? They couldn't believe what he just said. And he said, nah, I was just ribbing. And then Larry Zbyszko came out with a suit that he said, that Dave says looks like Paul Bosch, I think that's how he says his last name, wore in the early 80s in Houston wrestling.
Right.
Senshi he made his return, or Loki, of course. We already talked a lot about him. He pinned Christopher Daniels. The way that Dave spells Senshi is like a child would have to sound it out. S-E-N space S-H-E. That is not how it's spelled. And mind you, they put it on the nameplate. Anyway, the deal was that when Loki signed, they had a big fight over TNA getting ownership of the ring name. He wasn't down for that part, and they needed him for the show, so this was the answer. Senshi means warrior in Japanese. A warrior in wrestling language seems clinically insane. These two were tag team partners in the early days of TNA, in case you guys have not been following along since we've been covering from the beginning. Before Loki and Jeff Jarrett had their problems, when Loki said that he was going to Japan, and it was more important for him than working for TNA. And at the time, he was just working for 0-1. Loki missed a double foot stomp off the top rope. Daniels went for the Angel's wings, but Loki reversed it and did a bridging backdrop with his feet on the ropes for the pin. 3.5 stars. Next up, Bullet Bob Armstrong. He defeated Conan in an arm wrestling match. Yes, inside of a steel cage. He makes fun of Kip's hair, as he likes to do quite often. After the pre-segment interview, after Bob did his pre-segment interview, Dave says that it's a shame that it wasn't 1976 instead of 2006 because he did the promo of the night. He says that his facials were great. I know the idea of an arm wrestling match in a cage didn't sound that great, and maybe it wasn't to some, but they did one of the best jobs I've seen them doing in a worked arm wrestling bit. It's all in the facials, and both were great. After losing, Conan, Homicide, and Hernandez had to take 10 lashes. They could count 1, 2, 3, and then whip. Kip didn't want to wait for the 3 one time, and then BG called him Billy, and Mike Tenay said he jumped the gun, and then they did the whipping, and that was kind of it. So he didn't rate that one, in case you were wondering.
Oh, okay. Oh, he didn't?
No, which I'm wondering if that's partially why it's not like listed on Cage Match.
So I was just going to say, it's not even listed on Cage Match, so that would... I feel like they're saying that it's not considered...
It's like a segment. It's not really a match.
Segment. And I think that's kind of accurate.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
That
that's
would
fair
be
to
more
say.
of a segment.
Chris Sabin won a 6-way, the escape match, by the way, over Puma, Chase Stevens, Shark Boy, Elix Skipper, and Petey Williams in 12 minutes, 48 seconds. The rules were of a Torneo Cybernetico until 2 men were left, and then they fought with an escape the cage rules. So it was pin submission, and then the last 2 you had to escape. Williams pinned Shark Boy first with the Canadian Destroyer in 5 minutes and 2 seconds. These guys were flying all over the place, and the crowd, which was a hard crowd, got into it. Then, in the scary move of the night, Stevens went to the top of the cage, and he appeared to have a slight bit of trouble with his balance. And up there, you don't want to have that kind of trouble. This is one of the highest cages I've seen. He did a shooting star press, and had 4 guys to catch him, and he hit his mark perfect, and somehow it was all the fault of the guys doing the catching. As he
That's what I said.
Yep, as he flew right between them, like he was watching a center fielder lose a ball in the sun. Stevens landed right on his face. He lived, and he was up way too fast, but that's another issue, and he kept going. As the match continued, Williams catapulted Puma into the cradle shock by Sabin for the pin in 10 minutes and 21 seconds. This left Sabin and Williams to escape the cage. Lots of climbing. Finally, Sabin was over the top, but D'Amore was underneath him, keeping him from a landing. This gave Williams a chance to climb up the cage. Sabin kicked D'Amore as Williams jumped off, and it was onto D'Amore's shoulders, so Sabin dropped and won. The finish was slightly too contrived, but another good match. 3.5 stars.
No, that sounds all pretty accurate. When he did that fucking shooting star, nobody caught him. There's a handful of guys there, and they're just like, nah.
Right. He makes note of Jim Mitchell's promo being really good in the back, but like that's it. And it was actually, I think, a fantastic promo by Father James Mitchell in the back. Mm-hmm. But he doesn't really say anything else besides that. Next up, Samoa Joe. He pinned Sabu in 6 minutes, 12 seconds. Now, this is very interesting, and I did not pick up on this at all. Sabu had a cast over his broken forearm from a match on May 14th in Mexico City. He got the injury from a wicked chair shot from L.A. Park, who hit Sabu so hard with the chair that he broke his forearm. He split his head open, and his elbow was badly swollen into the match. So Sabu had a broken arm during this match, and I didn't even realize. In this one, Sabu juiced almost immediately. Joe worked the bad arm with some good offense and kicked the hell out of Sabu. You could see him wince in pain for real. And this is a guy who never publicly shows that he's hurt as part of his gimmick. The match was scheduled to go considerably longer. Now, Sabu told Joe during the match that he was hurting, and Joe, knowing Sabu's rep for denying pain, figured that he must have been hurting really bad, so they went home.
Wow.
And this is a note that we will kind of carry over. We'll talk about it more. But TNA was well aware that Sabu was heading to WWE, and this would be his last appearance with the company, even before the ECW news got out. That's a little spoiler we'll be talking about. He had promised D'Amore that he would appear and do the job on his way out, but Sabu ended up being mad on the way out because he believed that he was promised 2 paydays, the pay-per-view and the Monday taping after. And then he wasn't actually booked for the TV, and he felt double-crossed. Sabu got the spike out and used it on Joe. He tried an armbar. Joe used a cutter off the top rope for near fall and then got the pin after the muscle buster. 2.5 stars.
Yeah, I mean, that's interesting about Sabu actually feeling pain.
Yeah, right.
I kind of just thought that it was designed to just make Joe look like more of a monster. But if they went home early...
I think it was supposed to go twice as long. If there's another note, I think. I'm pretty sure it mentions that it was supposed to go twice as long.
Okay.
I don't know where that note is. Yeah, I'm sure we'll mention it again.
Yeah.
Next up, Team 3D, which was Brother Ray, Brother Devon, and Brother Runt, defeated Team Canada's A1, Bobby Roode, and Eric Young in an Anthem capture the flag match in 8 minutes 45 seconds. There was a rough bump, Rudy Charles, and Ray got the flag and gave it to Devon. However, Young got the flag away from them and put it back before the ref even saw it. So they won, and then they put it back, but then they ended up winning again. Runt gave the acid drop to A1 and then gave Rude the 3D. Runt got the flag. They also gave D'Amore a 3D after the match. They led the crowd in singing the national anthem. Strangely, while this was going on, Mike Tenay and Don West were at the desk plugging upcoming matches. 1 3/4 stars. Next up, a huge debut, one that Bob forgot in the intro. Christy Hemme came out dancing around, and as Dave says, she looked way cheaper than she looked in WWE. She brought out a piece of paper, which Tenay read. It said, TNA management is making changes. He said everyone in TNA will be held responsible for their actions. He said there would be a new public face of TNA, and Zbyszko is now on probation. They also announced they were overruling one of his bad decisions, and Raven is back. Now, Zbyszko was out here doing this. Raven came out looking very different from last time we saw him. Dave points out that his thyroid issues are still clearly a problem, and he didn't have a shirt on, which Dave says was a bad idea because he was way too heavy, which I don't know. I didn't really care. He chased Zbyszko into the cage, but security kept him from doing anything. So Dave is very focused on Raven's weight, but I did not really seem to care very much, to be honest with you.
No, I feel like we even kind of said that he looked better.
I thought so.
So he's just...
Dave is hypercritical about people, how they look.
Yeah, and I mean, I get it. You know, it's wrestling. You know, you're going to do that. But
right,
comparatively to what he was, I mean...
I think the fact that he didn't have a shirt on meant that he was like, I'm feeling pretty good. So to me, it was a good thing.
Yeah, right. Right. I would have thought the same thing, but apparently not fucking Dave Meltzer.
Yeah. Next up, it was the heavyweight title match. Christian Cage pinned Abyss in 14 minutes, 4 seconds to retain the NWA title. Before the match, Jeremy Borash went to interview Christian, and he didn't say a word. Dave says this was more effective than a lot of his recent promos. He jumped Abyss on the ramp, and they brawled all over the building for several minutes before the bell sounded, and they got into the cage. As the match went on, Abyss went to the top, but Christian got underneath and powerbombed him onto thumbtacks, where there was no ref. The ref was knocked out at this point. Abyss got a second bag of thumbtacks and put them onto the thumbtacks that were already there. And Dave is getting really sick of thumbtack bumps because he says maybe next month we can have 3 bumps onto thumbtacks. He's being a smartass. Yeah,
who cares?
To me, that's something that Alvarez would write.
Yeah, but like who? Like I don't think.
I love
think of
thumbtack
all
bombs,
the
dude.
Yeah, I mean of all the things that is overdone in professional wrestling, I don't think thumbtack bumps have ever crossed my mind as being that's done too much.
Well, he thinks that because the Biz does it every month, it's too much, even though it's kind of like one of Biz's things.
It's his gimmick.
I know. I know.
What are we talking about? Oh, hey, Mick Foley, I feel like, running off the apron, hitting an elbow drop. You do that every month? It's a bit much. Well, that's his fucking gimmick, dude. That's what he does. Oh, don't take a backdrop on the concrete floor. You've done that every month. Yeah, because that's the gimmick. That's the character.
Right.
That's his weapon of choice. Sledgehammer. Triple H has a sledgehammer every fucking week.
Dude, yeah, he did. Holy crap.
Like, oh boy, done to death. Like,
holy crap, he did.
The fucking gimmick.
Have you ever seen anyone else use a sledgehammer?
No.
Cody did a couple times, I guess, but realistic in AEW he did.
But was that as a cheap shot?
Yes.
There you go.
Exactly.
So it's a gimmick.
Right. Anyways, Christian used the Unprettier on the thumbtacks for the pin. Abyss had already wrestled several minutes with tacks sticking in his back, his arms, and the back of his head. Christian chased Mitchell into the cage, but Abyss gave him a low blow from behind and then beat on him with the chain, and he was choking on him with the chain over the ropes on the open cage door. Apparently, there was a scene of Christian's wife who was part of the angle rushing in to check on him, but it did not make it on TV. So it was overdone as this match has sounded, and the parts I cut out, Dave's, and he wrote this. Both guys worked their asses off the entire time, and it was really good. 3 3/4 stars.
Yeah, it was definitely good. That was a good match.
Right. Finally, Lethal Lockdown. Sting's Warriors. Sting, AJ Styles, Ron Killings, and Rhino defeated Jarrett's army of America's Most Wanted, Chris Harrison, James Storm, Scott Steiner, and Jeff Jarrett in Lethal Lockdown in 23 minutes, 49 seconds. This had some similarities to War Games. No shit. With the guys entering at staggered intervals, and this time, when everyone was in the ring, the top of the cage would be lowered with weapons, and in hindsight, Dave thinks that the weapons were unnecessary and stupid. But the first guys who started was AJ Styles and Harris for 5 minutes, and then there was 2-minute intervals. Sting was, of course, last, and the ceiling came down. Styles and Storm escaped and wound up on the ceiling of the cage. Of course, Styles ended up setting up that ladder on top of the cage, and Storm was on a table. Styles climbed on the ladder. Instead of jumping off the ladder, he jumped from the ladder to the, he says, pole-like deal hanging from the ceiling. It was like a steel thing.
Yeah.
And he let go and dropped down, putting Storm through the table. And then he makes reference that if the top of the cage broke like Undertaker Mankind, then they would have been dead. But Harris hit Sting with handcuffs and put him in the Scorpion Deathlock. Sting reversed it into one of his own, and Harris tapped out. He gives this match 3.5 stars.
No, I thought it was fine. It was a fine match.
Yeah, well, that was good.
Like for a War Games match, it was fine.
It was something like a War Games match.
Yeah, something like it's clearly inspired by the
I love it.
stipulation. Like I saw some similarities between this and War Games.
It was something like that.
Like the same exact rules, There's a top with weapons though. I mean, I can see where he's saying like the weapons part probably wasn't needed, but
yeah.
In this era of professional wrestling, you gotta have your weapon shots, I guess. So.
Right. I got a few more things that we're going to talk about here. That covers Lockdown. I think we're pretty good with that. I feel pretty good about that show, and I'm glad we watched it. Now we've been teasing this ECW stuff. Now, why this affects us so much? Well, one, we already talked about Sabu. That's not the last time we'll mention that. But so basically, Vince, while he was flying to Europe on April 20th, has decided to revive the ECW brand. And there have been meetings held over the last few days with different companies to get ready to do this, coming off of the June 11th One Night Stand pay-per-view at the Hammerstein Ballroom in New York. So they're going to revive it after One Night Stand 2006. Now, I cut out a lot because it obviously doesn't affect us very much. However, one name being talked about for this revival is Rhino, who is under contract to TNA. Now, Rhino has apparently expressed interest in recent weeks about returning to WWE, even though before this project even before it was announced at all. Now, obviously, with Heyman booking ECW, it would increase his interest since Heyman gave him his biggest career break, and a lot of this will, of course, depend on TNA's renewal offer. Because he's leery of his last tenure in WWE going so badly at the Nassau Coliseum situation where he and Tajiri were told by agents to start slow, and then Vince, at the show, stormed to the ring, dressed him down for having a bad match, left a lasting bad memory. Now, his remaining time after the incident in WWE were mentally very damaging because he was deep in the doghouse and he wasn't going to be able to get out. So it's kind of weird that he wants to go back, but he is certainly thinking about it.
It's all about that green.
It's all about that green. So he is considering that. We will be, I'm sure, hearing more about this ECW revival as we continue on. There may be, I don't know if there's more during the show or not. I can't remember.
I'm sure that these guys are getting a flat rate no matter the show, whether it's a pay-per-view or TV or anything. I'm willing to bet that Rhino would probably get a bigger paycheck for a WWE house show than he would for a pay-per-view in TNA.
Wow. Me, maybe. I don't know.
That's what I'm thinking. So, of course, you're going to want to go back. I mean, how many house shows do you do in a week? 3? So.
Right. That's a fair point.
At least 3.
Right. We got a little bit of ratings news that is a little bit longer here. And then I think there's a couple more after this that we'll dive into. But so in what has to be the single worst rating news since going to Spike, TNA Impact on April 20th drew a 0.94 rating and 1 million viewers. Now, that sounds good, Dave says, but Impact was it? Yeah. Was about, oh, hold on. Sorry. I'm getting a phone call. How do I stop this?
You hit ignore.
There we go. I couldn't find my phone. It was because it's on my computer and on my tablet and on my, yeah. I'll call her later. Anyway, lost my spot now. Jeez, thanks, Mom. Okay, so that rating sounds good, but the Impact was a total failure in keeping the large UFC audience, even for the first quarter hour. Depending on the demos, TNA keeps anywhere from 65 to 95% of the audience in every demo from UFC. TNA also picks up a small amount of new audience, largely men and some women over 35. In recent weeks, TNA hasn't maintained the UFC audience throughout the show, as noting the first big quarter is usually almost identical to UFC's final quarter, and then it drops from there, although usually it doesn't drop badly. Mm-hmm. So, anyways, it's all because we're dropping viewers after UFC, essentially. And now more bad news is that the April 22nd replay of Ultimate Fighter and Impact both drew 0.6 ratings, both lower than expected. So, I'm not a rating. I'm not an expert about ratings and all that, so to me, it still sounds pretty good.
TV ratings are so topsy-turvy. You know what I mean? Like, you're never gonna keep the same amount of people. Like, okay, this week went down, but the next week you'd be like, it went up to a 1.1. It'd be like, well, why?
Right.
Who fucking know? Who knows? People's TV habits are so freaking backwards. I don't even know. I know nothing.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Okay. I think, this last part is kind of like a two-parter, and then we can get into today's show, which we have more stuff to talk about during the show. You know how these post-pay-per-views usually go. Yeah. Now, this is, I want to say it's like a slight spoiler for the episodes we're about to be watching. This Observer, of course, came out before the episode that we're about to watch aired, because it airs on April 27th, just for reference here. And well, I guess technically this came out May 1st, but you get the point here. This was reported before. So I just scrolled down. Now, there is seemingly a format change that we are going to be seeing. Now, as expected, he says the decision to change TV from several squash matches, match format with 4 to 5 matches, and they're going to be cutting it to 2 to 3 matches and give them more time and use only main players has really killed morale of the underneath talent. Now, that being said, as I said, it's almost a slight spoiler because we're going to see this format change and we're going to almost see only top guys. This is important because they kind of already started this. The April 13th, our first Thursday night show, did only have 3 matches. And I know that, I remember, I should say more, because I'm doing the social post for it right now, and there's just not a lot of content because there was only 3 matches. So it's interesting to see this. Now, things apparently got really bad because numerous wrestlers who are full-timers were told they weren't needed for television, and Dixie Carter has been given the directive to cut the budget. Now, the ones not booked weren't happy, but understood the explanation, and others did not. Now, this all being said, several were talking about thinking that they were lied to and wanting to go to WWE. Now, most have contracts, and it would be difficult to impossible to do that. And for the most part, the vibe in TNA is that most is that it's more fun and better because they get to wrestle the way they want, and it's less controlling environment. The company is still losing money overall, though, and there is still said to be a lot of pressure to stop the red ink. One of the reasons that the shows were so rushed, now we don't know this yet because we're not watching, but Dave also thinks that things are rushed, and you and me usually think that it's in a good way, so take that with a grain of salt.
I think there's sometimes they don't let something breathe.
That has happened.
Yeah, so I'm wondering if that's what he's kind of referencing.
Yeah, we'll have to.
I mean, like, there was, when we saw Christian Cage almost get murdered in his pool, it was like right back to, now our next match. So you let it breathe.
Yeah.
Let's let it breathe. And it's like, here's fucking whoever's, the Naturals are coming out now. Like, okay, but some guy just almost got killed. I just saw footage of a guy getting murdered.
Right.
Like, what are we doing?
Now, the reason that things are going to be feeling rushed, apparently, is because they're trying to get every, as they're calling them, main characters onto at least one out of every 2 shows. I think this is going to be an ongoing thing. I don't think it's just affecting the next 3 shows that we're watching before Sacrifice, but now it's both to expose them because they're on the pay-per-view, but also because in TNA, you get paid based on the number of different shows you appear on. Now, do you want a little tease here of a list of people who were not booked on the taping?
There's a list. So this taping is for the 3 shows.
Yeah, we got a list of talent that does not.
Okay, so they're going to be pissed because that's probably a substantial amount of pay. Go ahead.
Yeah, okay, so among those not booked were Matt Bentley, Tracy, Andy Douglas, who is still working in injury angle from Scott Steiner, Roderick Strong, Austin Aries, who has not been brought back since his suspension, Lance Hoyt, Monty Brown, whose knee surgery, although he could probably be used for promos and light work by now, but he's in the doghouse with belief that among some that he's overpaid and underachieving. Bunch of bullshit. Low key.
That's a little infuriating.
Yeah.
For Monty Brown.
Yeah. Low key is not going to be on this taping, at least not in a wrestling capacity, I'm assuming, which people could not believe that he was put over Christopher Daniels on pay-per-view and then not booked on TV.
There's no follow-up for 3 weeks.
Apparently. I don't know.
There's going to be a video package or something. There's got to be.
Yeah, but I mean, that's what, so take this all with a grain of salt. Now
you're talking about like in front of a live audience, probably, right?
I'm assuming. That's what I'm assuming, yes. Now he does say, although the plan is to do a slow TV introduction, so it's that's for Loki. So it's not like the ball was totally dropped here. So that is where what you're saying probably makes more sense. Maybe they're going to start doing packages and stuff like that. Hernandez and Homicide, Homicide was very upset about not being booked.
What the fuck?
Which we'll talk about them in a second. And then there's 4 more: Cassidy Riley, David Young, Simon Diamond, and Elix Skipper. So a lot of talent that we've been seeing consistently is not on these next few shows.
Okay, yeah. I mean, a good portion of those guys are the guys that are, taking the fall.
Lower card guys.
Yeah, multi-man matches or whatever the case. Senshi that's a shocking one. Same thing with LAX though, because like they're kind of being, with like Hernandez coming in the way he came in, as I would be taking them as like the next, like the team right behind AMW as like a heel duo. Like I would expect them to be the next heel team to kind of like maybe dominate the scene with Conan when that transition is to come. So I mean, you're already again, it's not for a week, not even it's for 3. It's the entire build to Sacrifice.
Right.
So I wonder if maybe that plays a part in it. They're like, listen, we only have 3 weeks. We can't focus on all these guys anyway.
Yeah, it definitely could be.
So we're just gonna, sorry about that, but you know what? It's only once we get going again, where it's 5-week build. Hey, you'll get your, booking or whatever.
Right. And another interesting part is, since a lot of the guys who were booked are friends with guys who weren't, many weren't happy about all this either. So even guys who were booked were like mad on their behalf. So there's just a lot of morale issues.
Okay, well,
I mean, that's what you do when you're with your friends, right? Now,
yeah. Hey, dude, that sucks, man. I'm pissed for you, but by the way, I still got my money. But like that sucks. I'm pissed.
Yeah. My final note, though, Bob, is actually about Homicide, and kind of relating to what you were just saying, really. Homicide was very unhappy about this whole deal. He first was mad about not being booked for TV. And then when he got to the pay-per-view and found out that he was getting whipped with a belt with no comeback, he was complaining because his gangsta gimmick would somehow be getting retribution down the line. He's mad because the company has yet to book him in a singles match against a good wrestler, so he thinks they have no idea what he can do. Plus, have given him no indication on any new program since the James Gang versus LAX program has kind of run its course. He also feels his gimmick has been toned down because he hasn't been able to do anything. And it's also, in a relatable note, when Low-Ki was signed, Low-Ki did not want to join LAX because he saw what had happened with Homicide and felt it was a death roll. So, Homicide's kind of fucking pissed.
Okay. This, I think, is a little bit of an example of a guy that maybe doesn't understand how network television in professional wrestling would work. Because just to give you some context, I mean, in Ring of Honor, Indies, whatever, Homicide is like using forks. He's pouring fucking Clorox, quote unquote, Clorox down people's throats to make them vomit. Having just brutal, like, no rope barbed wire matches, whatever the case is. Swearing every other word in his promos, kind of like a Shane Douglas, I guess. So, yeah, you're going to have to be toned down when your audience is more than a live audience of 600 fans and then, maybe a few hundred people buying the DVD. Now you're on a television where upwards of 1 million people are watching. There's potential sponsors, there's, regulations. I mean, a whole bunch of stuff here. So you have to expect needing to adapt to how you're presenting your character. Again, it's 3 weeks until the next pay-per-view. So I'm sure that to follow up on the LAX James Gang, where does LAX go from there? They've essentially, I would say lost. Well, Homicide and Hernandez haven't. Conan did. Essentially lost that feud with James Gang. Right?
Yes. Yeah.
So I would expect them to be kind of in rebuild mode. Take the 3 weeks off, come back after Sacrifice, and then start a new direction of oh, hey, Conan lost about Armstrong, but we didn't lose, and then go on your little tear. Patience, my man. Patience.
Yep.
I'm sure that in 2 or 3 months that you're going to be feuding with Team 3D or, the America's Most Wanted. I'm sure something along those lines is going to take place. Just chill, man. Chill. Maybe in Ring of Honor, Gabe always had a plan. Every show, you probably knew what you're doing, and you were going to have a 20 to 25 minute classic with Bryan Danielson or Steve Corino or whoever the case is. But TNA, you're going to get, hey, man, you got 4 minutes and it's with Chase Stevens. Like, go out there and have a killer.
But what do you mean? I can't dump bleach down his throat?
What do you mean I can't get a fork and just jab him in the forehead? You know? Like, come on. And then low-key saying that the LAX spot is a death spot. That's kind of interesting just because, again, this is stuff that's happened 18 years ago, so we can kind of vaguely say the future. I mean, there's some pretty good shit that takes place.
Yes. Absolutely.
So I think that the death nail comment might be more so like who was associated before a guy like Hernandez got in there, like Apollo and Machete. It's like, okay, maybe this isn't going to be a strong tandem, but I think they kind of eventually figure it out.
Yeah, I think they do, and I think we're still very, very early in the time.
Yeah, literally. Yeah, I mean, it's very, very early.
I do find it very interesting because we were hyped when Hernandez came, as we should be, and then
I didn't even realize that's how he came in.
And then they do the whipping thing, and it's like, wait, what are they doing? So, but we'll get there. We'll get there, guys. Don't worry.
Yeah, I mean, to be mad about, okay, so like you gotta get heat, right? So the heat is on the face. Like they whipped the heels, so now there's heat there. Because as a viewer and the character that Homicide these guys have, you have to know, okay, that's not going to be how that ends.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like they're going to come back and they're going to get them 10 times worse. So like you're kind of, as a viewer, you'd be like kind of on edge. Like when the fuck is that going to happen?
Right.
So yeah, the last thing is you getting whipped, but like that's not the end of the story. You'll get your moment there. You just gotta be patient.
Well, hopefully we will see that develop more as we go on here, and I'm actually really looking forward to that. But what I'm really looking forward to now, Bob, is to get into this episode of Impact. That was a heavy loaded breakdown of Lockdown and some little extra notes, and we will have more to discuss during today's show.
Yeah, I mean, I tend to like these types of episodes because it seems like after every pay-per-view, people kind of vent about the direction.
Like, they do. Yeah.
This sucks. Like, okay, and like the next pay-per-view, things would change. Like, okay, that's better now that I'm the champion. Yeah, I got my raise.
That's exactly what happens.
The greatest story ever on this fucking podcast is BG James wanting a raise, and they're like, "You can get it, but you got to tell Kip it's coming out of his paycheck."
Yeah. Oh my god, that one was so
the greatest fucking story.
Insane.
In the world. Could you imagine going to your workplace and be like, "Hey, Jim, I just got a raise. I got a $10,000 raise for the year." You're like, "Jim, that's great." Or they'd be like, "Dallas, that's great." You know, yeah, Jim. Unfortunately,
it's coming out of your paycheck.
8,000 of that is coming out of your paycheck. So you'd be like, "What?" And, yeah, but you're happy for me, right? You want me to still be here? Yeah, but like what?
It's ridiculous.
That's got to be some kind of lawsuit or something. That's crazy. All right, let's get into the fallout of Lockdown. We're gonna, I would imagine on this episode, we're gonna find out pretty quick where we are going for Sacrifice, what we may be potentially getting for Sacrifice. I wouldn't be surprised if there are a lot of rematches, not necessarily another Lethal Lockdown, but maybe some of the same kind of matchups that we just saw in our last episode. So let's see what's going to happen here. It's the April 27th, 2006 edition of Impact. If you want to watch along with us, head over to the TNA Plus app, or you can find it in your own personal collection. The runtime for this is approximately 42 minutes and 55 seconds. I'm going to count down from 3. When I say play, that is when we are going to start the show. So here we go. 3, 2, 1, play.
This is TNA. Now, Bob, during this taping, there was, of course, some explosion matches that were taped. I'm sure we're going to get a Lockdown highlight package here. Yes, we are. So I'm going to give you those matches. Airing on April 28th, 2006, Chris Sabin, Jay Lethal, and Sonjay Dutt defeated Team Canada, now You won't guess who this one is. It's Bobby Roode, Eric Young, and the debuting Tyson Ducks.
We've seen Tyson Ducks before, haven't we?
No, I don't think we have.
I could have sworn we've seen him
I'll
before.
double check. When I looked last night, I did not recall seeing his name. No, we have not.
What? We've never seen him.
Nope.
Okay, I've seen him recently then. What?
Yeah. Oh, look, there's backstage footage of Abyss leaving with the title. That's cool. On May 5th, 2006, Samoa Joe defeated Chase Stevens in a non-title match. And then finally, on May 12th, 2006, A1 defeated Ron Killings. So those are our bonus explosion matches. There's no additional dark matches from this taping. Abyss, you're the real world champion. I like this backstage footage of him leaving with the belt. Remember, Mitchell gave it to him and he said, "You got it, see?" Is this a new intro?
This is a new intro.
What the fuck? Let's see. Let's see how the song sounds. I don't think I like it. Oh, Adrenaline Rush.
Yeah, it's Adrenaline Rush.
Oh, yeah. Well, okay, it's going to pick up then. You can tell.
Okay, that took way too long. It needs to be a quicker, thing.
I'm not sure I'll be updating our intro yet. We'll see how this lasts. I feel like every time they do a real song like this, it doesn't last very long. They're so Cal-Val. Your 60-minute Adrenaline Rush, of course, so it goes with the name of what they call the show. Blowing our budget on the pyro here to get us kick-started. Oh, Abyss is kicking us off here. Didn't expect this. The real world champion, Abyss. It's just with James Mitchell. He's always hiding in the back.
Now the adrenaline rush. I always thought they said it 3 times and then it went boom, hard.
Well, it pretended to, but it was not very hard.
It's not very hard at all. I kind of felt like instead of having sex, I was just soaking the entire time.
Oh my god.
Listening to that intro.
Jesus.
Guys, don't worry. Dallas did in fact chuckle at that. He did. He did. It was more of a chuckle of Bob is dumb. But I did get a reaction.
Yeah, you did. Okay, so James Mitchell, by the way, has a microphone in his hand, so I don't know if this is a match or a promo or what we're about to see.
Definitely a promo. I mean, I don't even know if I realized he stole the belt at Lockdown.
No, you did. You definitely did.
I did?
Yeah.
That's so sad. I don't even remember. We watched that show 3 days ago. What the fuck? I don't even remember. Oh, my God.
Unlike you, Christian, Abyss survived. And in the process, he walked out with the NWA World Heavyweight Champion. Now imagine you didn't really watch this. You're just tuning in. Or you're in the crowd live and you didn't watch it. You're like, holy shit. Abyss won the belt?
Yeah, because until he just said the technical ownership, I guess you wouldn't know that. He didn't know that.
Possession is 9/10 of the law.
Where's Raven? Is Raven
that's Raven's line.
Oh my God. He said that for how many months to Jarrett?
Dude, he said that so much.
Oh my God.
Sounds like an open challenge.
You used that as the title of one of the episodes, didn't you?
I'm pretty sure. Yeah. Uh-oh, Rhino, one of Abyss's... Yeah, it's an open challenge, and here comes Rhino. Rhino and Abyss, big rival.
Wait, if Rhino loses here, maybe he's going back to ECW.
Oh, there's the referee all of a sudden, Rudy Charles. We are starting hot.
See, now this is a pretty strong match because they did have a couple of pay-per-view matches recently.
Right, and Rhino beat Abyss in at least one of those.
Right.
Don't go anywhere. We're going to commercial, but Abyss and Rhino will fight when we get back. And we are back. Possession is 9/10 of the law. Up next is Gamehead. In case you're curious, we'll be covering that over on our Patreon right after Impact. Abyss choking Rhino. You just chase Rudy Charles out of the ring.
What I have to do here is I have to double check indie notes. I don't think Rhino has any. Oh, actually, you know what? I already did for these two. They don't have anything. Never mind. I lied.
Oh, you're ahead of the game.
I am.
Well,
for once in my fucking life, I am. It's pretty good.
Well, in that case, let me tell you a little bit about a couple people who have interest in coming in to TNA here.
Oh, God.
Or, I should say back. Juventud Guerrera has been trying to get back in. Now,
He's been trying to do that for 2 years.
I know.
Oh, my God.
Now, he is major heat because he injured Jerry Lynn, which Lynn felt was because he was careless, and Guerrera never apologized to him. Now, considering all the problems TNA has had regarding Team Mexico in the World Cup, the fact that Juvi is a proven commodity when it comes to working against Americans, plus got over pretty big in his last stint in the company, the fact he wasn't even considered for a moment for a spot pretty well tells you about his chances. Here you go.
No, so as soon as you said that, my immediate thought process was fucking Jerry Lynn. So I knew something had happened.
Yeah.
Was that how he fucked up his shoulder?
I think it was. I think so.
I think it was, yeah.
Also, this is a very interesting one to me, and not someone I would have guessed, so I won't even make you try. Dawn Marie has expressed interest in coming in because of the schedule. Now, after giving birth, she is said to be about 16 pounds away from where she wants to be, and then she may try to come here to TNA. I don't know what she would do, but I thought it was interesting.
Well, so I remember in WWE she had a love affair with Al Wilson.
Yeah.
So instead of Jackie Gata, maybe Dawn Marie could have been that girl. Although I'm not really sure what Jackie's secret is.
Oh my God, Bob. They made us forget about that.
Right.
Holy crap.
They've completely essentially dropped the blackmailing part, I feel like.
Whoa. And the whole, like, what Jarrett had to do in Canada thing.
Right.
Chokeslam by Abyss. Rhino did a little sandbag action in that one, I think. Kick out of 2.
I mean, what I'm about to say is a compliment. Dawn Marie plays a very good...
I know what you're saying.
Yeah, like whore, slut. Not that she is one. I'm just saying the character she portrays. She does it very well.
I'll never forget the video of her and Tori.
Yo,
that's like when you're a kid, you're watching that in your room. You got your finger on the fucking power button.
You are. Dude, and you're like going to like make sure the last channel you're on was like Nickelodeon or some shit. And you're like, yo, I'm watching fucking last. Dora. What are you talking about?
Mute. It's on fucking 2 volume.
That's right.
It's just like I'll never forget, dude, when they do the Kelly expose.
Oh my God!
I'm like,
Summer of 06 was fire, dude.
Okay, Mitchell has the ref distracted. Bobby Roode just hit the Northern Lariat on Rhino from behind. So the alliance with Team Canada and Abyss still intact. If you like Bobby Roode's TNA shirt, by the way, you can go check out a little TNA Cross the Line podcast shirt over on ProWrestlingTees.com/CrossTheLineTNA. I need to get one of those for myself still, actually. I haven't ordered one yet. Black hole slam, kind of. That was barely a black hole slam, but that's fine. 3 count. The real world champion Abyss gets the win.
Interesting. Okay, so he loses. I wouldn't classify that as clean because of Rude.
Nope.
But we are free falling down the card. I mean, Rude is definitely a mid-carder.
Oh, wait. Christian Cage.
Injured dress pants.
Yeah, he's looking real good. Going after Abyss, going for the unprettier. Abyss pushes him off. Christian, spear. From his brother, Adam Copeland. Oh, shit, he went to grab the belt, and Mitchell grabbed it quick and ran away. Cage trying to get out of the ring, and Abyss going right after him. Abyss laying into punches here as Mitchell's going through the tunnel with the title. Going for a splash. Oh, slipped out of the way. Cage pulled the rope down. Abyss fell out of the ring. Christian.
Christian.
Christian wants the microphone. Rematch? A sacrifice, maybe?
I think that I have 10 out of 10 possession.
The Christian Coalition will agree with him. No one wants to see Shrek as the heavyweight champion. Now, is that not a dated reference or what?
Yeah, no fucking kidding. That must have just came out.
Possession's 9/10 of the law.
Take a fucking shot. Are you looking up the date that Shrek came out?
Wait. They want to suspend the title above the ring. Tables, ladders, chairs, or...
That's copyrighted.
In TNA, you have to say Full Metal. It's a Full Metal Mayhem. Right.
But I'm assuming they don't have the name for that.
Bam!
Ah, there we go.
Because you got your chain and stuff, so we can make
it's going to be a
Mayhem.
TLCC.
Is this... Have we done a Full Metal Mayhem yet?
No.
So
I don't think Abyss and Hardy didn't do one, right? They did a cage.
Oh, wait. No, they did do one. They did.
Oh, shit, they did. You're right.
They did. Okay, I'm just making sure we're following on.
Because that's when Hardy had a temper tantrum, right? On the tables.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Hey, we're backstage with JB, Scott Steiner, and Jeff Jarrett, and wow, do they not look like the Dumb and Dumber suits right now? Steiner's wearing blue, Jarrett's wearing orange.
I don't know why, but right now, Scott Steiner looks like a grandpa. Just a jacked up grandfather.
Yeah, he does. I think his goatee's a little longer than normal. Maybe that's on.
Something. Maybe having a shirt on doesn't help him.
Wait, Zbyszko just ran in. After Steiner was talking shit about Sting. He's got a message. Sting just left his office, so Sting's in the building. Oh. He wants to meet Jarrett in the ring tonight, and he's going to find out who his partner is. So it sounds like we're getting a tag match at Sacrifice.
I'm fine with that, especially on a 3-week build. That's fine.
Shrek, by the way, came out in 2001. Shrek 2 is 2004, and Shrek the Third doesn't come out until 2007. So it is.
Wow, so he's using a reference
that's like still even a little old for what
that's
we're watching.
A little dated. Wow.
Hey, the World X Cup is going to kick off in a minute. But yeah, isn't that fascinating?
That's crazy.
What is this promo?
So we're getting likely a tag match between... Is this a sacrifice promo?
It's got to be. Yes, without great sacrifice. TNA wrestling.
All right, who's going to be Sting's partner?
Well, if you ask me, I think it's going to be Brock Lesnar, and I say that because...
Don't.
Wait, Shelley has a big interview here. I got to see what this is before I tell you about this now. I didn't expect this. Exclusive interview. Everyone wants to talk to this guy. Who the heck is Shelley talking to? 2-camera shoot today. He's moving up.
He's at a hotel room.
Get the fuck out of here.
Yo!
It's big, sexy Kevin Nash. Next week on Impact, the Kevin Nash interview. What?
Dallas. That's the real reason why they can't bring in all those fucking guys. Because Kevin fucking Nash's appearance fee is like $5,000.
Oh my God.
That ain't gonna help morale.
Look, the last time we saw Kevin Nash in TNA, or the last time we didn't see him, medical excuse. Yeah.
He just said medical excuse like it wasn't real.
Yeah, and he literally showed us the staph infection.
Yeah.
Wow, dude.
Oh, wait, no, the staph infection was lockdown.
Oh, wait, you're right. Oh, wait, this was the heart attack. He thought he had a heart attack thing.
Heart attack, yeah.
Now, real quick, World X Cup, first round win, 2 points. Second round, 3 points. And then I missed what the last one said.
Probably
Was it
5.
also 3 points?
No, probably 5.
Let's see who this is, and then I'll finish my Brock Lesnar joke I'm saying. Team Japan, this is Black Tiger, Minuro, and Goto. Now, I don't think it is a 6-man, so I'm assuming Goto's kind of staying back a little bit, so. It's Minuro Tanaka, by the way, if you missed our lockdown show. Black Tiger here is Rocky Romero. Most people are more familiar with that name probably than him being Black Tiger.
He looks so small. I didn't realize Rocky Romero was so tiny.
It doesn't help that this ring is massive.
The ring does not.
This 6-sided ring is massive.
Yeah.
Because
it's funny because Romero would team up with a guy named Ricky Reyes and look like the bigger guy, and Reyes was small. So I can't even imagine what Ricky Reyes would look like in this ring.
This is interesting here. Team USA, it's Alex Shelley and Sonjay Dutt. So it's definitely a tag match. Kicking off the World X Cup here. I'm glad it's going to be spread over shows. It makes me enjoy it a lot more.
Right.
JB was just handed the Paparazzi Productions camera, the Shelley cam, which he's upgraded. It's much larger now.
Should I just do my indie notes now? Because I only have it for Shelley and
yeah, do that, and then I'll spit out my Brock Lesnar thing.
Okay, well, I didn't realize when I mentioned Ricky Reyes that he was part of this indie notes, so this is just a really good transition. April 15th at the International Wrestling Cartel Super Indy 5 tournament in Elizabeth, Pennsylvania, Ricky Reyes defeated Alex Shelley in the first round. And then for Sonjay Dutt, there was another UWF TNA tour, Campus Invasion. He was on both nights. April 14th, Sonjay Dutt defeated Matt Bentley. And then on night 2, on April 15th, Sonjay Dutt teamed up with Christopher Daniels to defeat David Young and Elix Skipper.
Nice. Scott D'Amore and Petey Williams are taking notes at the announce table, and they showed the trophy. It literally times 2 of the Super X Cup. Like it looks like it's stacked on top of it. It's massive. And by the way, it is Goto and Minoru, not Black Tiger. So in this match, so.
And that's why you're on the show, because I would not know that.
And I believe I think that's Minoru in the ring. I can't remember, to be honest with you. And the hair is exactly the same. Yes, that's Minoru in the ring, and Goto, who looks like a very young lion, is on the apron. Look at this. Oh, that almost got fucked up. Assisted senton off of Shelley's shoulders. Okay, so Brock Lesnar's attorney, David Bradley Olson, said that he would not be allowed to comment on whether Lesnar would be able to work for TNA, which appears to mean that it was the last grasp that WWE was holding out for in a case it was sure to lose in court. Now, this is during the whole lawsuit thing. It is likely that there's a period of time he agreed to not wrestle in the United States. So that's the only reason I'm joking about Lesnar, because his attorney said, we can't tell you if he's going to work for TNA or not. And I got a kick out of that.
That's great. Could you imagine if Sting's like, I'll see you guys at Sacrifice with Brock Lesnar?
Brock!
What's wild to me, though, is I remember one of your notes was like, TNA doesn't think that Brock Lesnar is like worth the investment, which just fucking blows my mind. So that would be a sentence said.
Well, as we move into the future, I think it's going to blow your mind even more, and we know what we're talking about, but
Oh yes, right.
it's also about Brock Lesnar, and it's like, yeah, it's just crazy.
So
It's crazy.
It's so stupid.
Yeah. Goto in the ring now with Alex Shelley.
Because
Put him
let's say
wrench on
if I could get Brock Lesnar, but I had to fire all the people that you just said weren't booked on the shows for the next 3 weeks, I'm doing.
I don't think we'd notice, to be honest with you. I hate to say it.
Yeah, there's no way. Yeah, we wouldn't.
Quick tags here.
Team 3 years from now, we'd be like, you know what? Whatever happened to Matt Bentley? Meanwhile, like Brock Lesnar's had like 15 classic matches or something. Oh, hey, Jerry Lynn, Chris Sabin.
Watching and taking notes. It's interesting that Chris Sabin is not ringside with his team, even though Black Tiger is ringside with his team. But I guess the difference is the U.S. fan base here is more familiar with the U.S. team, and maybe showing more face with Black Tiger is important.
And also in America, we would rather watch it on television than standing out there to watch it.
Ain't that the truth? Let me give you a couple more notes during this match. TNA has announced that starting May 3rd, they'd be airing a half-hour TNA Global Impact show exclusively on both their website and YouTube.com. Beautiful senton by Alex Shelley there on Goto. Jeremy Borash will be hosting it, and it will feature exclusive footage, news updates, interviews, and matches. They've made a deal with YouTube to be an exclusive provider, and presumably that means the new 10-minute video limit won't apply. That's so funny. Video limit on YouTube, 10 minutes. Imagine.
That is crazy.
Yeah. Nice springboard leg drop by Sonjay Dutt. Minuro breaks it up. Bill Banks, who created Bite This for WWE years back, was instrumental in getting this show set up. So that's kind of interesting.
What's the name of it again?
It's the TNA Global Impact.
Oh.
So it's like those little highlights that we see. I'm curious if we're going to see more of that kind of footage on these. I don't know if they're still up. I should look and kind of use it as a follow-up.
What was there was another internet show that he hosted, Borash.
Ooh.
Spin Cycle.
Oh, yeah.
That's way later on, though.
Oh, Shelley drops Minuro on top of Goto. It looks like Team USA has the upper hand here, Bob. I was going to give you another note, but this is picking up. Oh, my God. Lion Salt onto the... Shelley had Goto on his knees, and then Dutt hit a Lion Salt on top of him. That was nice. But Minuro breaks up the pin here. Drop kick Shelley out of the ring.
I feel like...
Oh, let's see this.
What I was about to say is Shelley and Dutt are not really a team, so I'm wondering if they're just going to lose this.
It very well could be. Minuro hit a nice drop kick on... Goto did.
That would probably help morale even more, that two guys that are not regularly on the roster are beating two guys that are here every week.
I was kind of hoping we were going to see a little early Motor City Machine Gun action.
Yeah.
That would have been kind of cool. Dude, Goto's doing some nice suplexes.
That might be it.
No. Shelley
wow, Shelley came out of nowhere.
I like that, how he holds the arm for that back suplex. It's nice.
Yeah.
Slice bread number 2. He almost landed on his neck, dude. He's a shooting star press by Dutt. Goes for the cover. Whoa, Team USA got the first win in the X Cup.
That was a good match.
Yeah, that was really good. I did not expect Team USA to win, but you know what? We're probably going to lose the whole thing because we won the first match, so that's fine.
Well, you said Jushin Liger's involved in this, so he'll probably
he's supposed to be, yeah. Here's the scoreboard. US 2 points. We got, of course, Team Canada, Team Japan, and Team Mexico, and Team USA. That's all of our teams. And then we were backstage with Daniels and AJ Styles, who's got a tilted hat on. Oh, he flipped it backwards. Glad you asked what's on my mind. America's Most Wanted.
What?
Lethal Lockdown. He opened his eyes. The way you aligned yourself with Jeff Jarrett, the way that you conducted yourself, has tarnished the World Tag Team titles.
Titles.
It's time for a change. Oh. He wants a team with Daniels.
Oh.
What? Next week? Daniels and Styles against AEW next week?
All right, fuck the job match. Just give me this.
I think that's why we're doing that. Championship caliber tag team. Dude, I got this weird feeling.
They'll have time. Instead of like 4 minutes, they'll get like 12.
I got a weird feeling, dude. We're in the fiercest battles that TNA's ever seen against each other. But who knows what we can do head to head. Now, mind you, guys, this is not the first time they have fought AMW as a tag team.
Right.
First match in 2006.
Correct.
Next week, you're going to see it firsthand. Wow. Wow.
All right.
Well, speaking of AJ Styles, there is a charity event on June 3rd in Toms River, New Jersey that will feature Christian Cage versus AJ Styles and also Frankie Kazarian versus Petey Williams. I don't know what the event is, but Samoa Joe coming out here next. Dude, we are hitting banger after banger. I kind of think I like this new format thing.
Yeah, I do too. But
oh,
so here's a Senshi video. I knew it. Great ability. 4 years of Japan. Give me the discipline, dedication, and respect of pro wrestling world.
I kind of like him as someone who doesn't talk a little bit more.
I can't take him serious. There's no way that's his natural voice.
It is.
Definitely. No, he's
yes,
lowering.
It is. No, that's his voice.
He's lowering that shit.
I don't know.
I can do it. I could talk like this every day.
What in the fuck? We have an X-Division Championship match all of a sudden.
What was I saying before I got distracted by Senshi?
Why is Zbyszko out here presenting this?
I don't know. I fucking forgot. Lethal didn't get an entrance, so he's definitely losing. Tanaka was saying that Joe has a 10-month undefeated streak. That is not correct. He has lost.
This is why Zbyszko's out here. Raven.
Security sucks. Raven's wearing a shirt, though, now.
Yes, he is. And he's chasing Zbyszko, and Joe went right after Jay Lethal. So we've already kicked off the match, and Raven is...
Zbyszko wailing his arms is hilarious.
Wow. I was going to mention another X-Division thing about Styles. So as part of the deal to get New Japan guys on the recent TNA shows here, New Japan has asked for AJ Styles to come in because he's a big favorite. And Dave says he believes that TNA is committed to Styles for one date for a major show for Japan.
Lethal with a neck breaker. That's a 1 count. Now, for a TNA audience, a Lethal Joe match might seem pretty one-sided, but as I've noted probably several times here on this podcast, these two have had quite the rivalry in Ring of Honor. Friends turned foes. Lethal has defeated Joe in Ring of Honor.
Oh,
at least I'm pretty sure of that.
Cool.
I could be wrong in making that up, but I don't think I am.
I don't know, dude. You're pretty good with that stuff. So
I should definitely double check that though. Pretty sure it would have been 2005. Yes, I was right. He beat him at Steel Cage Warfare. At least one time.
Chop to the back, kick to the chest. Samoa Joe come in with a high knee drop on Lethal. Now Lethal's on Team USA. That's what they keep saying, how it'd be great if they could bring the X title into the World X Cup tournament. So that's how they're trying to propose this as like a big match here.
Joe's gonna kill you. Joe's gonna kill you.
May 14th, Sacrifice, guys. We've talked about it before. We got 3 impacts before we get to that next pay-per-view already. It's gonna fly.
Don't you think it is? Don't you think Lethal really probably for like a 5-year stretch just carried Ring of Honor?
Yeah. Are you kidding?
That's why I thought that.
Yeah, dude.
Because like I'm looking at his career, and it's like from like 2011 to probably 2016, it's like fucking Lethal. And then still consistently good after that. But
I mean, it is, but no one's watching it.
That's what I'm saying. Right. That's what I'm saying.
Right. I mean, the thing is, I barely cared about Ring of Honor when like the Bucks and Kenny were going there.
Right.
Like it was just, I didn't like the way they did their TV. And
the TV was off-putting.
I couldn't put my finger on it. But like the pay-per-views were great. But like the way they did their TV show just felt bizarre to me.
It was
like,
old. It felt old.
Is that what it is? Like it's
yes. Yep.
It
Because
was
I
weird.
remember I would be watching it, and a lot of it would be like, check out our live events, and it's just like, am I watching like WCW Pro from like 1991 right now? Like you're telling me to go to the Meadowlands?
Right. Now listen, I've been critical of how I felt about Ian Riccaboni for a while, and I feel like the way he pitched on those shows really bugged me, and it's probably why.
That's
And I think
another.
that's why I didn't like him. Now I've gotten more used to him, and like him calling like the newer Ring of Honor pay-per-views and stuff, and even when he's on Collision once in a while, I actually think he does a really great job.
Yeah, he's better.
But in those Ring of Honor shows, the old ones, oh dude,
Yeah.
I just it just rubbed me the wrong way. I just couldn't do it. Joe giving Lethal a face wash here.
I have indie notes here for Jay Lethal. One of which I don't think I mentioned from a few weeks ago, but back on April 8th, for a company called LSW, which I have absolutely no idea what that is. I'll click on it in a minute. It was in Lodi, New Jersey. NWA World Heavyweight Champion Christian Cage defeated Jay Lethal to retain the title, which is an interesting thing. I'm going to click on this right now to see. Liberty States Wrestling is the name of it. And Daniel Puder was on this show. The SATs, Crowbar. All right. Well, I probably would have gone to that show. Other matches that Lethal has had on the indies recently. April 15th, for Big Time Wrestling, Jay Lethal won a 4-way, defeating Antonio Thomas, EC Negro, and Xavier. And on April 21st, for Northeast Wrestling, Xavier defeated Jay Lethal. And there weren't any new developments for Samoa Joe, unless I forgot. But I don't. And I like how Lethal is not getting destroyed in this match, so that should tell you something.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting,
Yeah,
actually.
and I did. You know what? I fucking lied, because why did I click off of fucking Samoa Joe? There is definitely stuff here to talk about. That same April 21st show, NWA World Champion Christian Cage defeated Samoa Joe to retain the title in 15 minutes. So that looks like that's a lot.
I wonder how.
Loss. I don't know if
Muscle Buster.
I don't know if I reviewed that show.
It's a 3 with the Muscle Buster from Samoa Joe.
Let's see, main event.
I want to do the Island Driver more, to be honest with you.
I have to check later. On April 22nd, Samoa Joe defeated Corporal Robinson at Pro Wrestling Unplugged Super Jam Weekend Night 2. And that same day, April 22nd, Team Ring of Honor, which was Adam Pearce, BJ Whitmer, and Samoa Joe, lost to Team CZW, which is Chris Hero, Necro Butcher, and Super Dragon at Ring of Honor's 100th show. And yes, that would in fact mean that the CZW Ring of Honor feud, that is arguably one of the best feuds in Ring of Honor history, is currently going on.
Nice. Jeff Jarrett just came out, and Samoa Joe and him are staring down. He's with Scott Steiner in tow. Joe's gonna kill you. Sign right between them. Nice shot.
Okay, so is that Sting's partner? Is that the tease here?
Okay, Samoa Joe and Scott Steiner stare down.
Okay.
See, are we just teasing
Joe
stuff
Steiner match could be fun. Oh, he just called him boy. You don't call Samoa Joe boy.
Yeah. Real quick, as Jarrett's about to talk, I got 2 more notes, so we can enjoy this segment. And one is about Samoa Joe missing the TV taping. He was also apparently blamed it, at least what he told the company, on forgetting that the tapings were on Monday and figuring that they were for Tuesday. Which is interesting because Sabu also thought that he just wasn't booked for him, but apparently he also thought that he just missed it as well.
Wait, Joe no-showed a taping?
No, sorry, Sabu. If I said Joe, that was a mistake. It's
Sabu did. Okay.
Sabu. Here comes Sting, by the way, immediately. Jarrett didn't even talk.
And wait, Dave he was booked for it?
If he
was pissed that he wasn't.
At least in the other note, and this is the same Observer newsletter.
Okay.
But yeah, so apparently Conan and other people have also forgot that they're not on Tuesday anymore. So it is possible that he actually didn't realize.
Sure. That's
and my final note: Terry Taylor's recent neck fusion surgery was the second that he underwent. He's also looking at getting both his knees replaced, and that may be more people's future than anyone wants to deal with.
Yeah.
Okay, Jarrett's got on the mic and Sting's out here. The match is signed. Who is your partner? Wow, Jeff Jarrett just demanded that I tell him who my partner is. Dude, Sting's jacket is sick. Look at that jacket. That's the first time he's worn a different jacket, I think, so far. What? Jarrett's going to choose his partner? Wait, tunnel number 1 is one choice, and tunnel number 2 is another choice. Bob. There's our actual wrestlers behind him. Who do you think's behind these tunnels? AJ Styles? Got to be one of them, right?
Wait a minute.
He can pick tunnel 1 or tunnel number 2.
Will we see both?
I don't know, but he's also got something in his singlet, like a little paper.
Oh, God.
He wants to get rid of the cancer that's slowly killing TNA. Tunnel number 1, which has way cooler lighting on it, by the way.
Lex Luger.
No fucking way. Look at him shaking the lights at it.
It's not 2. 1.
1 has way cooler
lighting.
Wait a minute.
2 is the babyface side. So it's got to come up from 2.
That's a really interesting point.
2.
Wait, so do you think Jarrett's going to pick 1 on purpose then because that's like the bad guy side? Game show format.
2. See, I was going to guess AJ Styles, but he's clearly teaming with Daniels now, so that's not.
He's got a lovely game show hostess, Christy Hemme.
Christy Hemme is one of the options?
No, she's the hostess that's going to help reveal.
Oh, okay.
Game show music. Oh. It's like Jeopardy. It's like a Jeopardy mix, kind of.
It's a mix of it, yeah.
Ooh, I like this.
It's a mix. It's mixed enough that they won't get sued for it.
It's got the light piano. Do, 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 do. And it's got like a little dance track behind it, kind of. Look. He goes, you're all cheering for door number 2?
So we're going to go with 1.
Yeah.
1.
Time is up.
1.
Okay, if you don't pick 1, and this thing is null and void as tonight, and your next time your choices will be different. So you better choose now.
What the fuck? What does that mean?
Deal or no deal?
That must have been a new show. Probably just started on fucking NBC.
You don't tell
Jarrett, don't you fucking talk to Scott Steiner like that.
Look at him shaking the lights still. Oh, he goes, I'll see you at Sacrifice. No one's even behind those tunnels. We're not picking. Show up at Sacrifice with your partner. I'm not dealing with this, he said.
Smart.
Scott Steiner's even like, I think we should pick, dude.
We should find out.
Wait, he's going to describe contestant number 1. Let's hear.
Goldberg.
A former member of the MWO?
Luger. Brett. Scott Steiner.
He said, I could care less.
Buff.
Because you postponed, it's still in void.
Oh, he's going to show who they are, dude.
Yeah, he is. I got to turn this up.
He's going to
listen closely, he says.
Yeah.
5-time WCW World Tag Team Champion with 4 different partners.
That's got to be Buff.
Currently on probation in Georgia. And he goes, and that's a shoot.
That's Buff, dude.
His mom was one half of the tag team champions. Jarrett's laughing. Show us behind who's tunnel number 1.
Oh, they don't play Buff's like music though. But... Is he in gear or no? Nope.
Oh, but that's 1,000% Marcus Buff Bagwell, baby. He's back in TNA after he took his smile and he went home.
That's right. It only took him 4 years.
Yo, he's getting pyro?
He's back full time. He's taking Canyon's spot.
It's Buff Bagwell, dude, on Spike TV. Jarrett's laughing.
I mean, Buff looks to be in fucking great shape.
He does look good. I love, dude, Stinging like he's on probation in Georgia. That's a shoot. Was hilarious.
Dude, I can't wait for the Observer notes where it's probably going to be like, so Buff wanted $4,000 a shot, and they said, we can give you 400, and he said, fuck you, I'm out of here, and then he'll never be back. Okay, who's the second guy? I'm going to say Luger.
With Sting, that makes so much sense, right? Look, take a gander. Buff is still the stuff.
Could you imagine if at Sacrifice it was Sting and Buff Bagwell against Jarrett and Scott Steiner?
Okay, tell number 2. Let's listen.
Okay.
College football scholarship to Miami. Remember the Green Bay Packers.
Luger, he never played for the Packers. Can we stop this? That's fucking like
$1 million contract with the WBF.
Yeah.
An international fugitive, and that's a shoot. These guys, dude. 2-time champion. Christie. Show us who's in tunnel number 2. Oh, yeah, that's him. Not looking as good as Buff is, but Lex Luger.
I don't think he'd be able to wrestle. I think he needs Christie's help to just stand upright.
Look how large his upper body is, though.
That jacket's way too big on him.
Well, yeah, it's certainly not a good looking jacket. Look at Steiner and Jarrett are leaving. They're like, we are not dealing with this crap.
Well, let's say Jarrett's saying, damn, I should have picked door 2.
What did Jarrett just say? Where in the hell did he get those something?
Let's get those 2.
Well, Jarrett, accept. We're going to find out next week. We don't even get to find out if one of them is his partner. What the?
No, it's null and void because he said no. So
okay.
Those 2
we
will
not
be Sting's partner.
Well, Bob, I do have a post-show note for you.
Okay.
And it's about these guys. Shit. I had to wait. Even though they will appear on this week's TV, which we just saw, there's apparently said to be no interest in actually using Luger Bagwell as wrestlers. It was just an idea for an angle that they fit into the story. I do believe they were used to get with the idea of a buzz with them helping ratings. But if Sting only really helped for a week or 2 and Steiner hasn't helped one bit, they aren't going to mean crap. So,
right.
And it's like a little side note about Kevin Nash.
Mm-hmm.
Several months back, Nash told friends about an idea that he had where he'd come in, rip on the X Division, destroy a bunch of X Division guys, and in the end, he'd put over AJ Styles. Now, of course, the idea can't work because Nash just standing next to those guys buries the entire division. But I'm curious with the interview. I don't know what's involved with that, how that plays into it. And I will also just let our audience know here, if I can find it again. Hold on, I scrolled up too far. One reason a lot of these people are so unhappy is because people like Lex Luger and Buff Bagwell are appearing on the show, and they aren't.
I will do it.
So does it make it makes a little more sense?
Yes, it does. That makes.
But if there is really if they're just doing it for like a quick pop, I think I understand it a little bit more. But anyways, what do you think of that episode of Impact?
I thought it was pretty decent for a Fallout. I mean, like I told you, I mean, we have a pretty good idea of what they're doing for Sacrifice.
Yeah. I feel good about it. I liked it. Thumbs up. The matches were good. The World X Cup, I think, is off to a good start. And to end with a Sting segment, I mean, you can't really go wrong with that. So that's a thumbs up show for me.
Yeah. I think it's hilarious that that they did, but that fucking Buff and Luger were closing the show. I mean, you're trying really hard. I would think you're trying really hard to avoid this whole WCW rehashing, and then we're doing this. And even though they're only going to be there for the week, I don't know. I think it's something you want to.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's definitely an interesting choice.
Yeah.
Well, I guess we'll see what happens as we head more towards Sacrifice. We are in the midst of the World X Cup, which I believe will be going on for quite some time here. I don't think that's going to end at Sacrifice. No, it did say. I don't know. Is it? I feel like we have a little bit more time than that with it, but
2 weeks.
Well, yeah, but the World X Cup, I think it's going to go past Sacrifice.
I mean, at this, how the fuck can you do a tournament like that? Yeah, I would imagine Slammiversary would be.
That's kind of what I'm thinking. Yeah.
The conclusion of it or something.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Well, we'll find out, but we're in the middle of that. Sting's got a partner to face Jarrett and Steiner at Sacrifice. We have to get Raven and Zbyszko. I have to assume. Abyss and Christian Cage, Full Metal Mayhem. We're already getting some pretty solid stuff here.
Yeah, and then just next week we have a tag team championship match.
Who knows what that's going to lead us to for Sacrifice, yeah.
Right, AMW defending against Styles and Daniels. Foes turned friends.
It's crazy.
Which is a cliche thing, but that's what we're doing. There's nothing else announced. I'm sure there'll be another World X stuff, but yeah, so Sacrifice shaping up. I really think Samoa Joe's interaction with them is a foreshadowing that it's going to be Joe.
That would be very interesting. I'm into that idea. I like that idea.
That's what I'm thinking. Because why else would you do that?
They want to get Joe out of the X division, even though he's the champion. Then I think that's a really great way to.
And that's why I don't understand having him beat Daniels on that primetime special when you're trying to, like you said, like you've noted before in the notes, you know, you're trying to get him out of the division and then you just keep him in the division. I don't think that makes any sense to me. But
yeah, I agree.
We'll see how it plays out. And everybody listening and maybe even watching along with us, continue along as we are just a mere 2 weeks away from Sacrifice already. Full Metal Mayhem, Cage and Abyss. That should be even more brutal than probably the Cage match that we just saw just a few days ago. So continue along with us. Who knows? Maybe Brock Lesnar will show up. Maybe Goldberg will make an appearance as somebody behind the door. Who knows? I don't know. There's only one way to find out.
Man.
And that one way to find out is to continue to watch along and listen to Dallas and I discuss TNA 2006. So until next week, for Dallas Gridley, I'm Bob Colling Jr., and this has been the TNA Cross the Line podcast.